Hi, Mike Kennedy with you. I thought I'd go through some of the things in this current issue of Self-Reliance, just tell you what's in it. It goes for $7.99 an issue, $26 for subscriptions for a year, but they have discounted like all magazines. You hit the right time and you can get a significant discount. But so for articles, we've got ways to stay warm off grid, heating with small diameter wood, thoughts on choosing a wood cook stove, restoring cast iron skillets, festive foraging, late fall and winter foraging, chainsaw maintenance, and we have caring for rabbits in extreme cold, how to choose a dairy card in a homestead, simple steps for successful soup, the fascinating world of breads, Kabunchy, canning frozen food, and in the garden, there's something about using tunnels, and there's just a lot of articles. And this has a fairly good selection of letters that people write in with information too. But I thought I'd just pick a few at random. Heating with small diameter wood. There they show, I suppose, what purported to be a Native American mother and daughter, and they're out gathering sticks, branches. So basically, they're picking up things that they don't need an axe. Although she could have an axe, but I think a lot of people, they're pulling out things and picking up things. There's enough dead stuff that they can just pick it up and carry it off without cutting it up. And a lot of people in third world countries that are poor, this is how they heat and cook. And one of the things, I read this article on, is interesting. One of the things he encourages people to do, that if you're cutting your own wood for heat, that you cut and use the branches as well, and not just, throw them away type of thing. So that was a good point, I thought. Thoughts on choosing a wood stove for cooking. I had a friend in the next town over, and they had an enormous, to me it looked even bigger than this example in this magazine. It was huge, and it had it was just enormous, and they used it to, they had a regular stove too, but a lot of times they used that to cook with as well as to heat with. It must take a little bit more skill, I would think, to cook on a wood-fired stove than it does an electric stove, because the way the heat operates, or the level of it, is so completely different. I mean, wood tends to be really hot, and then it can cool down for a while, and that's usually the ember state where people want to cook, because that provides a fairly even heat for a length of time, where all of a sudden put a new wood on, the heat would be spiking up and down. But that's very interesting. And I knew someone who had a coal stove too, like that, a large stove like that, a coal stove. And they said the only thing wrong with it is you kind of needed to know the weather in advance, because you kind of built your fire for the next day. So, if the weather turned out to be, considerably warmer than you thought, your house was going to be considerably hotter. And plus you're wasting coal. Here's just a picture of them doing looks like some griddle cakes. What else have they got here? All kinds of things they're doing. So, stove, no electricity, just a lot of labor, manual labor, cutting the wood and stuff. Learn how to do it. This, restoring cast iron. This person, Cindy Richards, is primarily using a lye bath. That's sodium hydroxide, and that's soaking in that, and that's going to help loosen all of the rust. So here's the pan before, looks in pretty sad shape, but by the time she gets done that, scrubs it and everything, and re-seasons it, it's, looks as good as new. And there are some, I forget whether it's Griswold or what, but there are some cast irons that are very collectible, and if you run across one of those and you restore it, you're talking about, especially if you've got it for, yard sales would have these things for like maybe $5 or $10. And, if you run into one of those, you could be looking at something that would sell for $80 to $100. I know my dad when this was when YouTube, when eBay was younger, and there was the craze about really buying a lot of stuff on it. And he had this, it was kind of like a griddle, just a big, but it had, I think it was the Griswold brand on it. You know, it will say on the back in big letters what brand it is usually. And gee, we got like $140 for it. Plus, he had to pay the shipping. Okay. Here's an article about getting your rabbits through extreme weather. Really cold, really hot. Here's one lapping a ice tray or something, ice cube. And kind of a neat idea. I watched a YouTube video recently, and this guy was saying if you could only have one animal in your homestead, your farm, or whatever, he would pick rabbits rather than chickens. And in the video, he went into different reasons, but a lot of it was, the rabbits raise their young. You don't have to have, there's no intervention like you take the eggs. You need a brooder, a hatcher, a brooder, and all these types of things. And he made some points that were interesting. I think, personally, I would still want chickens and primarily use the eggs rather than doing meat birds. But, picking the dairy cow, I don't think that's anything to do too soon. And this article about, I don't know, kind of talking about the basic philosophy of making soup. And how in the old days, I'm sure they took whatever they had left, they made soup with. You couldn't throw food out, and you need to make it hearty and make it taste good and everything. And they have all kinds of other books, self-sufficient type of books through it that they publish. So here's a book on canning. It's 98 pages. And there was an article on bread, and what interested me about this particular article is they were talking about making naan bread. And once in a while I'll buy that naan bread that's garlic flavored, and it is really good. And it's got the recipe here. I want to try that out, see how it comes out. Question and answers about canning livestock homestead questions. Ask Jackie. And let's see, we'll skip through some festive foraging. They're talking about foraging just for things for appearance, like a Christmas tree or holly, mistletoe. I don't know if we have mistletoe around here, but fall and late winter foraging, that's a difficult thing when you start trying to do that, I'll tell you. But it has your examples, and it's got some photos, that you decide to identify things. Stinging nettles. So they've got sumac. The heads, they're saying they're still good to make drinks out of, I think. Yeah. Usable berry, still clinging to the nearly leafless plant. I'll have to try that. I thought you could only do it in the fall. I didn't know you could continue into winter. But then they have certain plants you can eat. Both wintergreen, this is wintergreen, and partridge berry yield red berries that will hang on the plant. So like in the spring, you can see that they've already got fruit on them, and it's actually fruit from last year, and it's still good. And of course, wintergreen or tea berry has that wintergreen taste, like wintergreen candy or whatever, and has medicinal purposes as well. And people will use the leaves too to make a tea with. So, they talk about different things like that. Growing your food under tunnels, the garden row under tunnels extends the season quite a bit. And some guy burying a time capsule. How to sharpen and maintain your chainsaw. And, some other articles. So, I don't know, for Comanche, how to blending, brewing, and bottling. Canning frozen foods. So there we go anyway. I think it's a kind of interesting magazine I pick up once in a while. There's a particular article that it has that interests me. And there we go. Bye.